I didn't mean to knock. My hand just did it, knuckles against the frame like I'd rehearsed something I wasn't even sure I wanted to say. And then her voice, low, tired, a little sharper than usual, cut through the stillness of the apartment. "You're not supposed to be here." The door was cracked, just an inch, like she hadn't decided if the world was allowed in or not. I leaned against it, trying not to look as restless as I felt. "Then why did you leave the door open?" For a second, nothing. Just the hum of her fridge and the muffled noise of traffic far below. I thought she might close it in my face. But then, with a sound halfway between a sigh and a laugh she didn't mean to let slip, she stepped back. Not an invitation. More like, she didn't want to argue. The living room was dim, blinds half drawn. The kind of late evening where shadows take over before you even realize you forgot to turn on a lamp. She had a mug on the table, coffee, though cold from the look of it. She picked it up anyway, just to keep her hands busy. "You should go." She didn't look at me when she said it. I sat down instead, on the edge of her couch, too close to leaving but not close enough to stay. I knew I was pushing it, and maybe that's why I stayed. "I was just walking by," I lied. Or maybe it wasn't a lie. I had no reason to be here, except that I couldn't stop thinking about it. About her. She finally looked at me, and it wasn't anger I found there. Not even annoyance. Something else, something softer, more dangerous. Her hair was pulled back carelessly, a few strands falling near her temple. She brushed one away, then immediately reached for her mug again, like she regretted the small gesture. "You always do this," she murmured. "Do what? Act like it's nothing." I didn't answer. Couldn't. Because she wasn't wrong. Every time I found myself here, I pretended it wasn't deliberate. That I didn't hear her voice in my head when I should have been focused on anything else. That I wasn't replaying every glance, every slip of a smile she tried to swallow. The silence stretched, heavy but not unbearable. She sat down across from me, on the armchair, legs crossed. The distance felt deliberate, like she needed space to breathe. Her fingers tapped against the porcelain cup. I watched them too long. She noticed. "You shouldn't look at me like that," she said, so quietly I almost missed it. My mouth was dry, but the words came anyway. "Then don't look back." She froze, just a flicker, before letting out another small laugh, the kind that wasn't really a laugh. The kind people let slip when they're caught between wanting to run and wanting to stay. Outside, a car horn cut through the street. A dog barked. The world kept moving, but here, inside her apartment, it felt like everything had stalled. Like the air itself was waiting. I wanted to say something else, something real, but then, a sharp buzz broke through the moment. Her phone, lighting up on the table between us. She glanced at it, then quickly flipped it face down, as if the name on the screen mattered too much to let me see. When she looked back at me, her eyes were different, guarded now, unreadable. And I realized, with a jolt, that whatever door she'd left open tonight, someone else might already be standing on the other side of it. The phone buzzed again. Same vibration, same insistence. She didn't reach for it this time. Just pressed the heel of her hand to her forehead, like the sound itself was drilling into her skull. "Do you need to get that?" I asked. My voice came out steadier than I felt. "No," she said, too quickly. Then softer, "Not right now." She didn't explain, and I didn't push. But the unspoken hung between us, sharp as glass. I shifted on the couch, trying not to stare, but my mind had already filled in the blanks. Whoever it was, they mattered enough for her to hide the name. Maybe a husband she hadn't mentioned, or an ex she still hadn't cut loose. Maybe my friend's father. That last one twisted in my gut. I knew I shouldn't even be here. She was older, sure, but that wasn't the part that made my chest tighten. It was that she belonged to a world I wasn't supposed to touch. A world that would look at me and see nothing but a reckless kid playing with something fragile. "Why do you keep showing up?" she asked suddenly, eyes on me now, sharp and searching. I opened my mouth, then closed it. Because the truth wasn't something I could hand her cleanly. The truth was I thought about her when I shouldn't. That every time she laughed, even at something small, it carved a place in me I couldn't unmake. That being near her felt like stepping into a room where I was finally seen. Instead I said, "Maybe I like your coffee." That made her smile, faint but real. "It's terrible. You know that." "Yeah." I smiled back, even though my chest was tight. "But it's yours." She looked away, out the window, where city lights blurred against the glass. Her profile was softer in the half-light, tired in a way I'd never noticed before. I wondered how many nights she sat here alone, with that same cold coffee and unanswered calls. I used to sit like this with my ex, she said quietly. Late nights. Too much silence. But he always found a way to make it about him. Every story circled back. Every pause was filled with nothing I wanted to hear. She caught herself, straightened. I don't even know why I'm telling you this. Because I listen? I said. Her eyes flicked to mine, sharp again, like I'd caught her saying too much. She didn't answer. The silence stretched again, but it was different this time. Not heavy, charged. My hand rested on the couch beside me, useless, until her eyes flicked down. Just once. Then back up. It was enough to make me aware of how close we were, how little space I'd need to cross. My pulse jumped, reckless. She didn't move, didn't lean away. Her mug was empty now, her fingers tightening around it like she needed something to hold. I wanted to reach across the gap, just to take it from her hand, to brush her fingers by accident. But I stayed still, afraid that if I moved too quickly, she'd shut the door for good. Then she surprised me. She set the mug down, slowly, and instead of pulling back, she leaned, just slightly, forward. Not enough to touch. Just enough to let me know she hadn't closed the distance for anyone else in a very long time. And in that space, where her breath felt almost close enough to touch, the phone buzzed again, louder this time, like it was warning us both what we were about to do. But neither of us moved. The third buzz was different. Not just a vibration. This time, the ringtone kicked in. Sharp, insistent, cutting straight through the charged quiet between us. She flinched, like the sound itself burned. Answer it, I said, though I didn't mean it. My voice came out rough, almost daring her. She shook her head, fingers frozen against the table. I can't. The phone stopped, leaving behind a silence so thick it felt like we were both waiting for something. Maybe disaster, maybe relief. I leaned forward, without thinking, closing some of the gap. Her eyes flicked to my mouth, then back to the space between us. And then, 3 sharp knocks rattled the door. She shot up like she'd been caught. Shit, she whispered, glancing at me as if I were suddenly a crime scene. My pulse slammed in my ears. Who is it? She didn't answer. She just pressed a finger to her lips, eyes wide, then moved to the door on bare feet. She opened it a crack. A man's voice. Low. Familiar. Hey, you weren't answering. Thought I'd check. My stomach dropped. Whoever he was, his tone wasn't casual. Not a neighbor. Not a delivery. She slid through the crack, pulling the door just enough behind her that I couldn't be seen. I heard her voice, muffled, calm, but a little too quick. I was busy. Everything's fine. Busy. The man's laugh was sharp. With what? I couldn't breathe. My hand gripped the couch cushion like I was bracing against a crash. Through the sliver of space, I caught a glimpse of him. Tall, older than me, sharp shoulders under a suit jacket. He leaned in too close, the kind of closeness that comes from history, not politeness. Her hand pressed against the frame, body blocking him. Not tonight. Please. He exhaled, long and annoyed, then muttered something I couldn't make out. Finally, his footsteps faded down the hall. She stayed at the door a second longer, head bowed, before she shut it softly and turned back. Her eyes landed on me, guilty, defiant, exhausted all at once. Who was that? My voice was low, even though I already knew. She didn't answer, just crossed the room, pacing, running both hands through her hair. You shouldn't have come here. I shouldn't, I said, standing too, unable to sit anymore. But you didn't stop me either. Her hands dropped. She looked at me then, really looked, like she was weighing something too heavy to put into words. Do you know what happens if anyone finds out? Her voice cracked, not loud, but sharp. Yes, I said. Her silence asked me the question I didn't want to answer. Then why are you still here? I stepped closer, just enough that she had to tilt her head up. My chest ached, my throat tight, but I didn't stop. Because I can't seem to stay away. Her breath caught, and for half a second, long enough to make me believe it, she leaned toward me. But then she turned, fast, walking toward the kitchen like distance could undo everything. This is wrong, she whispered, more to herself than to me. I followed anyway, stopping just short of reaching for her. And when she finally faced me again, her eyes were wet, but her hand brushed mine as she passed the glass of water she'd just poured. Deliberate. Quick. Dangerous. Not a kiss. Not yet. but enough to tell me we'd already crossed a line. The glass in my hand was still warm from hers. I should have set it down, walked out, spared us both what was coming. But instead, I just stood there, staring at the faint smudge of her lipstick on the rim. She leaned against the counter, arms folded, trying to look composed. But her breathing betrayed her. Too quick, too shallow. "You can't keep coming here," she said finally. "I know." "Then why?" I set the glass down harder than I meant to. "Why do you think?" Her arms tightened around herself, but she didn't look away. "Not this time. You're too young. You don't understand what this would cost me." The words stung, sharp and humiliating. I almost laughed, but it came out jagged. "Too young? I'm standing right here. Choosing this. Choosing you. That's not a choice you can make." Her voice cracked, brittle. "You think it's simple. It's not. I've lived through this, through what happens when people find out. It destroys things. People. Families." I stepped closer, every nerve lit up like I was walking into fire. "So you'd rather lie awake alone, pretending you don't want this?" Her lips parted, but no words came. Just a flicker of something. Fear, hunger, maybe both. And then it slipped out of me, low and fierce. "Who was he?" "The one at the door." She blinked, startled, like she hadn't expected me to ask. She stopped herself, shook her head. "He doesn't matter." "Doesn't matter?" I almost barked a laugh. "He's calling, knocking, checking up on you. And you're telling me I'm the one who shouldn't be here." "Don't," she whispered, eyes flashing. "Don't twist this." "I'm not twisting anything." My voice was sharper now, trembling with something I couldn't swallow. "I see the way you look at me, and then you push me away. You let me in, then act like I'm the mistake." Silence. Long enough I thought she'd throw me out. Then, slowly, she reached for the counter, fingers white against the edge. "Do you have any idea how long it's been since someone made me feel seen?" The word hung between us, fragile and dangerous. My chest tightened. I wanted to touch her, to close the space and make her say it again. "Instead," I whispered, "then stop pretending you don't feel it too." Her eyes searched mine, frantic, like she was looking for a way out, or maybe permission to give in. She shook her head once, but her body betrayed her, leaning closer with every breath. I could smell her perfume now, faint and warm, mixing with the bitterness of the forgotten coffee. "This is madness," she whispered. "Then let it be." Her hand lifted, trembling, almost brushing my chest, stopping an inch short. Her lips parted, eyes flicking down, then back up, as if she'd already decided but needed me to close the gap. The moment teetered, unbearable, electric, and then a key scraped in the lock. The sound of the key in the lock froze both of us. Her hand still hovered an inch from my chest, trembling, while her eyes widened in pure panic. "Go," she mouthed, urgent, pushing at me now. I hesitated, heart pounding, but the door was already swinging open. A teenage voice called out first, bright, careless. "Mom? You home?" My stomach dropped. "Mom." I darted toward the hallway, slipping into the narrow shadow between the wall and the coat rack just as the girl stepped in. She couldn't have been more than 19, maybe my age, maybe younger. A backpack hung from one shoulder, earbuds dangling around her neck. She glanced at the half-lit living room, the empty mug on the table, and her mom standing stiff by the counter. "You didn't answer my texts." "I was busy," the woman said too quickly. The girl narrowed her eyes, scanning the room. "Busy doing what?" I pressed myself against the wall, barely breathing. My pulse was so loud I was sure it gave me away. The girl stepped further inside, then frowned. "Wait, was someone here?" The woman's throat worked as she forced a small smile. "No, just me." Her daughter didn't buy it. She looked around again, slower this time, eyes catching on the couch cushion I'd crushed in my panic, the glass of water still sweating on the counter. She lifted a brow. "You don't usually pour water if it's just you." Silence. The weight of it pressed down like concrete. I gripped the wall, torn between stepping out, admitting it, ending this charade, or waiting her out. Then, just when I thought I'd suffocate from the tension, the daughter's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, sighed. "I'm going to shower. Don't sneak off somewhere, okay?" The woman only nodded. Her daughter disappeared down the hallway, door clicking shut behind her. I exhaled, shaky, stepping out of the shadows. "She's your yes." Her voice cut through me, sharp. "My daughter. And your friend." The word hit like a punch. I stumbled back, everything suddenly rearranging in my head. The risk, the secrecy, the way she'd flinched every time I pushed too far. "You should have told me," I whispered. Her eyes were wet now, but her chin lifted, defiant. "And what then? Would it have stopped you from coming here?" "Yes," I lied. She laughed once, bitter and broken. "No, you would have come anyway." I didn't deny it. Couldn't. Because the truth was, she was right. Every step I'd taken toward her was deliberate. Every time I should have turned back, I didn't. "You think this is just about age?" she said, voice trembling. "It's not. It's betrayal. To her. To him. To everyone who trusts us. And you stand there, acting like you can handle the weight of it." "I can." My voice cracked raw. Her silence told me she didn't believe me. The hallway creaked. Her daughter's footsteps again. We both froze. But instead of coming back into the room, the girl's voice floated down the hall. "By the way, the door was open when I got here." She hadn't seen me. Not yet. But she'd noticed enough. And the woman's face, pale and stricken, told me what I already feared. Our secret wasn't safe anymore. The words hung in the air like smoke. The door was open when I got here. Neither of us moved. Her daughter's footsteps faded into the bathroom, the muffled sound of water running. But the damage was done. Suspicion was alive now, curling around the room, filling every shadow. She turned to me, her face drawn tight. "You need to go? Now." I didn't move. "If I leave now, it doesn't change what already happened." Her hands clenched at her sides. "It changes everything. For her. For me. For you." "Say it then." I pushed, my voice rising despite myself. "Say you don't feel anything. Say I'm just some stupid kid who doesn't know what he's doing, and I'll walk out that door and never come back." Her mouth opened, but no words came. Just silence. A silence that said more than any denial could. "You can't," I whispered. Her shoulders slumped, the fight draining out of her. "Do you think I haven't tried? Every night I tell myself it's wrong. That you're wrong. But then you knock on my door, and her voice cracked, and she pressed a hand to her eyes. "And I don't tell you to leave." The sound of her breaking gutted me. I crossed the space before I could think, before I could weigh what it would cost. My hand brushed hers, tentative, trembling. She didn't pull away. Her eyes lifted to mine, wet, desperate. "I'm terrified," she admitted. "So am I breathed. For a heartbeat, there was no world outside that kitchen, just her fingers gripping mine like she needed an anchor, just my chest rising too fast with everything I'd been holding back. "Then what do we do?" she asked, almost a plea. I swallowed hard. "We stop lying. To ourselves, at least." She let out a shaky laugh, half despair, half relief. "You think honesty will save us?" "No," I said, leaning closer, the space between us electric. "But maybe it'll keep us alive." Her breath hitched, her face inches from mine. The bathroom door down the hall slammed shut, a reminder that time was running out, that we didn't belong here like this. But neither of us moved away. "Tell me to go," I whispered. She shook her head, slow, deliberate. "I can't." Our foreheads almost touched then, the air charged with a decision neither of us was ready to claim, but both of us had already made. In the silence, the weight shifted, not the guilt, not the fear, but the truth. The truth that whatever came next, we weren't walking out of this untouched. The water in the bathroom stopped. The house fell quiet again. And in that breathless stillness, with her hand still in mine, I knew the choice had already been made. The bathroom door creaked open. Footsteps padded down the hall. She dropped my hand just in time, but the ghost of her grip stayed on my skin. Her daughter walked back in, damp hair tied up, scrolling through her phone like nothing in the world could touch her. She barely looked at either of us. "I'm going to bed." "Okay," the woman said quickly, voice too steady to be natural. The girl disappeared again, bedroom door clicking shut. And then it was just us, standing there in the quiet, hearts still beating too loudly for the silence we were pretending to live in. She sank onto the couch, pressing her palms against her knees. "This isn't sustainable," she whispered. "I can't keep juggling secrets. Not with her in the middle of it." I stayed standing, restless, because sitting felt too much like giving in. "So what? We just pretend none of this happened." She looked up at me then, eyes tired, lips trembling, but not running anymore. "I don't know. I only know that I can't lose myself in this again, the way I did before. With him. With all of it." I swallowed hard, finally sitting across from her. You're not losing yourself. You're finding something. Maybe for the first time in years. Her gaze softened, but it carried regret too. You make it sound so simple. Because it is. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. I see you. Not the mother, not the woman everyone else expects. Just you. And I want that. I want you. Her breath caught. She closed her eyes for a moment, and when she opened them again, she didn't look away. And if it cost me everything? I held her gaze. Then let it cost me too. Silence stretched. Her hands trembled in her lap before she finally reached out, hesitantly, fingers brushing mine. Not like earlier. Not fleeting. This time, she held on. And it felt like a decision. The world outside her apartment didn't change. The risk was still there, heavy and waiting. But something shifted between us, an unspoken agreement that whatever came next, we wouldn't keep pretending it wasn't real. She let out a shaky laugh, tears slipping down her cheeks. God help me. I can't let you go. I squeezed her hand, voice low. Then don't. We sat like that, not kissing, not running, just holding on in the quiet aftermath. Two people who knew the fallout was coming, but finally stopped lying about what they wanted. Maybe tomorrow it would all come crashing down. Maybe the secret would unravel, and the consequences would burn. But tonight, she didn't close the door, and I didn't walk away. Sparkles, did you enjoy the story? Speech Balloon, what kind of stories would you like to hear next?